it feels super weird or dishonest, or all these people jumping on the bandwagon. They're like, okay, they're doing a class action. I think we're going to get on one too.
We have a system here where we have signed contracts. You signed it, and now you don't like what it represents, and so you can go through the legal system and just, fix it.
We're just saying we want the seller to have a seat at the table and to be a part of the decision-making process.
Fancy language to say nothing changes but the agreements themselves.
That's exactly right. We looked at EXP's listing agreement. It says zero about offering a buyer's agent compensation.
Right now, it's very uncomfortable to have these conversations about signing a touring agreement or a buyer rep agreement. It's uncomfortable because it's new, but pretty soon people are just going to realize, hey, every agent I've talked to made me sign this touring agreement when I went to go see a house, so I guess it's just part of the process. You've got a number of copycat lawsuits. This is not the only one. There's a number of other piggyback cases out there.
EXP settles for $34 million and it's getting rid of cooperative compensation. What does this mean for the real estate industry? First, if you would take some time to like and subscribe, we appreciate you guys. We're growing our audience. We've got some exciting things happening, and we want to make sure you don't miss any of it. All right, let's dive in. So, okay, the first question that I have, RL, my resident smart person, why are we in a lawsuit? Why is EXP having to settle after NAR? What's happening there? Because it's like, okay, aren't we done with the settlement? Didn't everything change? Why are they having it? Why do they have a $34 million settlement?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're seeing is piggyback lawsuits. Somebody, a group of attorneys and a group of other potential buyers or sellers saw what happened with the Stitzer-Burnett case and decided they wanted a piece of that pie. And so you've got a number of copycat lawsuits. I think this EXP one was from the Georgia one. I'm not sure what they called that one. Hooper, maybe? Hooper, I think. Yeah. So yeah, it was just another piggyback case. And this is not the only one. There's a number of other piggyback cases out there.
Well, it's interesting because, well, first of all, that you can do that. It's like all these people jumping on the bandwagon. They're like, okay, they're doing a class action. I think we're going to get on one too. It feels super weird or dishonest, or
usually it's attorneys pushing that.
Is it? Is that what's going on? Yeah, they're trying to get a payday.
The biggest payday that came out of the last one was attorneys.
Right. And I'm sure they're trying to tell themselves that they're, the champion of the consumer. But this thing, we've talked about this before. It doesn't make sense at all, the way that this is rolling out. But we were talking before. I mean, the thing that's super frustrating is every single person has a signed contract that states the terms of how the transaction is going to play out.
I have a lot of attorney friends, and just happen to play golf together, and most of them do not know anything about real estate or the settlement.
Right.
So that just goes to show you that it's people in real estate are more in tune with it than people outside. But they mostly know nothing about this whole issue that's going on. And I explained to them, like, hey, in what legal world do I have a signed contract that states compensation, and I could use the legal system to basically get reimbursed for my ignorance? And I don't mean they're ignorant people. I mean that them saying that they were unaware of where the commission was going. To me, when you sign a contract, it's your duty to make sure that it's explained to you in such a way that you understand it, or you don't sign it.
Right.
And if you did sign it, you're bound to it. And there was already compensation agreements between parties. You already knew exactly what you were paying in compensation.
Everything was disclosed.
Everything was disclosed.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't like the way it was disclosed, but again, if I'm signing a contract, it's my duty as the person signing it to make sure I understand it.
Yeah, to review it.
And if I sign it, then everyone has to assume that I understood it. And so we have a system here where we have signed contracts going back years. Everyone felt that they were being above board with it, and you signed it, and now you don't like what it represents, and so you can go through the legal system and just fix it.
Yeah. Did those attorneys say anything about that? Did they have any response to that?
They honestly they're baffled of how the initial case was won, and I say won in the sense that it was settled.
Sure.
But how somebody can get this far with it.
Yeah, I don't really understand that part of it, and it's beyond my capacity, I guess, above my pay grade. But yeah, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and it just feels, from an attorney perspective, it feels a little bit dishonest.
You and I went into an agreement with a company, and I'm not going to get into the details, but basically we signed an agreement in which we were to pay a sum to this company for some services, and we felt like those services weren't provided, and we went to an attorney.
Yeah.
And we said, hey, look, here's the deal. Here's what we paid for. Here's what we got. Here's where we think we were shorted. Here's what we think the solution is. The attorney saw it our way, but he was like, look, man, you have a signed contract in which there are no refunds. And so he's like, we could try this, but chances are they're just going to say you have a signed contract. So I mean, it's like, that's just the way things work. Like,
I know, man.
We shouldn't have signed a contract in which there were no refunds. And so we should have said, if the services weren't delivered in this manner, then we have this recourse. And that was on us. And so...
Yeah, and it sucked. I mean, you took the hit on it, but it's like, okay, well, this is what this is what we signed. And so we have to kind of hold up our end of the bargain.
You signed a listing agreement that says you were going to pay 4, 5, 6, whatever percent.
Yeah. Well, and so here's what EXP had to say about it. The company said in the filing that it continues to deny the material allegations of the complaints and the lawsuits, which they're saying, hey, we didn't do anything wrong, which I agree. The settlement is not an admission or concession of liability or of the validity of any claim, EXP said. So that's, I mean, exactly what we were just talking about. So the CEO, Leo Pareja, said on the Unfiltered podcast that if broker-to-broker compensation was no longer allowed on the MLS, let's just not do it at all. This doesn't mean sellers who work with EXP agents can't compensate buyers' agents, but the company will no longer facilitate that exchange. And in quotes, we're just saying we want the seller to have a seat at the table and to be a part of the decision-making process, Pareja said. Now,
that's fancy language to say nothing changes but the agreements themselves.
That's exactly right. So basically what they're saying is, and we have, we looked at EXP's listing agreement, and it says 0 about offering a buyer's agent compensation.
Yeah. Here's a copy of it. I mean, we won't run through this whole thing.
It's
but
free. I mean, it's on the internet. They said they offered it up to everyone. They just said, hey, if you want to use it, use it. Use the language. And they were, I think, I read somewhere that they were praised for the simplicity of that listing agreement. And they did a buyer's agent agreement as well. So kudos to EXP and Leo Pareja for getting that together. But what I will tell you is it's semantics. So they're saying, hey, we're not going to offer buyer's agent compensation, but Mr. Seller, if you want to pay that, that's completely up to you. And you're completely... in a lot of cases, you probably should to entice the buyer's agent to come. And so, I don't know. It feels like a different way to get to the same result.
Here's the thing: I would have to. I haven't dug into this very much because this was just brought to my attention. But what does that mean exactly? Because as an agent, you can't accept compensation from anyone but your broker.
Yeah.
So in some form or fashion, you do facilitate it, even if it goes from seller to title company to broker to agent, it still has to go through the broker themselves. So really, it's absolutely nothing different but the agreement.
No question. I mean, there's nothing different. But I think, for you agents that are out there, if any of this stuff, by the way, what I can tell you is over years and years of reading through, real estate news. First of all, like you said, most of the world doesn't even know that this happened. I might have had 3 or 4 conversations with, people, non-real estate people, about this that, whether it's at church or a social gathering or something, but most people don't know anything about it. So keep your head up. Don't get dragged down by a lot of this, because really what it seems like to me, I won't say it's a workaround, but I will say I wouldn't be surprised if most of the industry goes toward this direction, where they're saying, hey, we're not paying cooperative compensation. Like, we're not facilitating the exchange of money. Like, I'm not taking my commission and then giving it to half of that to someone else. I'm getting paid by the seller, and then the seller can pay the buyer's agent if they want to.
Yeah. I mean, that's all it is. It's semantics.
And I actually had that come up in a recent transaction where, and this particular listing agent was with a company that I knew was pushing non-payment of buyer's agent compensation. And so I actually put that on the list or on the sales contract. Hey, seller to pay buyer's agent X percentage. And he actually corrected it. It says that he as the agent was going to share compensation. So he corrected it. So anyway, I mean, I thought that the seller was going to pay it, but in this case, he was doing cooperative compensation. So I think it's going to be a mixed bag moving forward. And I think that should be a part of your question as a real estate agent. It's like, hey, how are you doing this? I mean, you guys that are listeners of this podcast and avid listeners, I know you guys are the next level of professionals, and that's who we like to, or like what we like to encourage is like stepping up as a professional. But I think I'll probably work into the conversation with listing agents if I've got the buyers. Like, hey, are you guys doing cooperative compensation, or is the seller paying the buyer's agent compensation? That's going to help me in my offer and how I write it up.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's coming from the corporate world. This would be similar to like we used to hire like consulting firms all the time, okay? And they would sub out parts of what they were doing. So this would be like, the consulting firm's fee was 6%. And if they chose to share 3% of that with this sub that they were using for the consulting engagement, okay.
Yeah.
I agreed to pay you 6%. What you do with it is your business. And so like, that's similar to here, right? Like you agreed to pay 6%. Who they share it with really is irrelevant. Like you agreed to pay 6. What are you complaining about? Like, because you didn't know 3% of it was going elsewhere. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Like this is crazy.
But as we've continued to see this play out, I just don't really see that much changing.
No, it's just a lot. For a period of time, it's going to be different conversations that need to be had. You need to figure out how to script them that work in your style and your language and to navigate them. But after a while, people are just going to expect it. Because here's the thing, like right now, it's very uncomfortable to have these conversations about signing a touring agreement or a buyer rep agreement. It's uncomfortable because it's new. But pretty soon, people are just going to realize, hey, every agent I've talked to made me sign this touring agreement when I went to go see a house. So I guess it's just part of the process. And it goes away. And, this just becomes how we do things.
Yeah, I guess this is how we're going to do it. So anyway, but again, most of these companies are nearing the end of this and they're settling. And there's a part that I don't understand. They're settling on, but they're also in the agreement. They're covering is like, hey, nobody else in the United States can sue us on this. So I guess they're having to elevate it to a certain court level to get that kind of approval. Is that DOJ?
Well, I think it was because, and I could be wrong about this because I haven't studied up enough on this particular one, but I think it was because they were left out of NAR settlement, which is why they're even having to go through this at all.
Oh yeah, that's exactly why.
So I mean, if you were part of that, then you're not getting sued again. So
right.
I mean,
if you're included in the NAR settlement. So basically what NAR did is said anybody under $2 billion, they're going to cover everybody there, and then any companies under $2 billion, and then companies over $2 billion had to settle. And that's where you have,
or not necessarily. They could have opted in as well, but I think EXP just didn't.
They didn't opt into the NAR.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that happened.
Anyway, they are settling in such a manner that they're like, all right, we're done. Like this is it.
Yeah, and anyway, so there's lots of attorney specific things, but again, as the agent, you guys and most of our agents are doing this. Just keep your head down and keep moving forward. The reason that we do this part of the podcast and want to keep you up is to let you know there's nothing to freak out about. What the most important thing for you is to continue doing what you're doing, continue developing your lead generation processes, your follow-up processes, dialing in your customer service, transaction management. Just focus on the things, and all of this stuff will sort of work its way out, and we can make little. And by the way, if you have a question about this and you want to call us, feel free to reach out. I think we have email addresses. You can go to our website, theagentbridge.com. You can find our phone number. Give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to talk with you about it.
Join our Facebook group and ask the question there too, because we have tons of agents. We have over 1,000 agents in there that are constantly asking questions that need to be answered, and that could be one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anything else? Any final words?
No.
Okay. Guys, thank you for joining us. We will talk to you next week.